Mary and Brandan expecting baby number 2. Has Mary debuted new baby bump in recent pics? But Mary and Brandan have come out with a response by saying, "Hi, it's Mary and Brandan here. It's false. Mary can't have a baby after giving birth with Midnight, our first baby, because she does C-section and our OBGYN said we will wait after 2 years for her to get pregnant again. But Mary just wanted 1 baby, not 2 or 3. Please don't spread false information. Thanks and God bless." To be honest with you, when I read that sentence, I said to myself, it's not a thanks or God bless, it's more like a phew, thank God. If you're a religious person, be offended. Either way though, let's continue. Now, I really want to break down this whole situation with Mary and Brandan when it comes to them having a child. I mean, first and foremost, I am 1000% happy that they are not having a second baby. And I'm also even happy that they don't want to have a third baby. But I'm still annoyed with the fact that they even had a baby to begin with. Now, let's just break down the journey between Mary and Brandan, because there's another point that I really want to make it, but I've got to really break it down for you guys. Now, let's just remember, when the season first started, we knew that Brandan was working hard. He was working more than one job. For what purpose? To send money to Mary. Why was he sending money to Mary? He was sending money to her because her house at the time in the Philippines had been torn down or something like that. So therefore, he was sending her money so therefore she could pay for a new home to be built for herself and Brandan for when he would finally move over to the Philippines. Which, listen, sounds like a brilliant idea. But then there was something quite interesting that happened when once Brandan got to the Philippines. Well, this is what happened. He found out that, well, not found out, he knew this anyway, but it was just the way this went down. But once he went there, obviously he knew that he'd be living with Mary and also her family, because at the time they had nowhere to go, which makes sense. No worries. But then if you fast forward to the tale, something interesting then even happened that really made me think, something isn't right here. Brandan was then revealed to be calling Mary a scammer. Whenever Mary would, get underneath his skin and he would lose his absolute cool, he would call her a scammer as well as a BICTH. Now, of course, we're going to focus on the word scammer itself in particular. Why would you call her a scammer? This is where Brandan was asked this question, and his mother and himself answered the question by simply saying, well, there were certain times when Brandan did not have any money to give to Mary, and when he didn't have money to give to Mary, Mary would always act out and pretty much be a spoiled brat, which therefore would definitely give her the vibe of someone who is a scammer. Now, it is still very interesting why Brandan still chose to stay with Mary anyway, knowing that she had this scammer vibe about her, because she'd always get upset whenever he had no money to give to her. Now, it is quite interesting though, because knowing this, we know that once Brandan was there, Mary and Brandan then had to figure out ways to make money, whether that be open up a little shop where they would go buy things and then resell them for a better price, at a more expensive price for a profit. But we also knew that that wasn't really working that well. In fact, it wasn't working that well that Brandan even stopped caring about it because, well, when it came to him serving customers, it's something that he just couldn't do because of a language barrier. But either way though, this is the thing where it gets even more interesting. Since Mary and Brandan had a child, well, it was then revealed that there were times when Brandan would reach out to his mother for money to help him and Mary and their baby. And this is where it gets interesting. How comes in the season when Brandan comes to Mary, he comes to her, he tries to ask her if they could get help from her family, from her Lolo at the time. And Mary made it abundantly clear that asking for money or any kind of help from her Lolo was not allowed one freaking bit. And she said, no, but he's done so much for me, I cannot ask for anything else, which was at the time, I thought, okay, that doesn't really make sense, but we'll just let it be. And the reason why it didn't make more sense is because Brandan had literally paid for a home for them to be living in. So for them to not want to help out was very, very suspect. But it's interesting how it's okay for Brandan to reach out to his own mother. Now, remember this, at the very beginning of the season, Mary did not even want Brandan to be in a situation with his mother. He did not want him going and seeing his mother because she had female friends or female housemates. So much she didn't even allow him to even spend time with his own sister in fear that he may want to get with one of his sister's friends as well. And it's quite interesting how Mary went from being this person that didn't like Brandan's mother, but will happily accept money from Brandan's mother, whilst also neglecting to even ask her own family for money. So it is quite interesting that when it comes to the financial side of things, it is always on Brandan's shoulders. I mean, look at it this way, even some of the arguments that they had on social media, their arguments was literally based on the fact that Brandan was too busy playing games rather than helping her with making money. So all I'm saying is that when it comes to the money side of things, it seems as if unless Brandan is doing something, Mary isn't happy. And if that's the case, it's also asking Brandan's family rather than hers. And that is something that I felt like had to be spoken about. So I said, this is definitely more proof that this woman is probably a scammer, or if not, someone who's looking for a free ride in a fancy car. But sadly, she can look for a free ride if she likes, but Brandan is not that fancy car. Because clearly right now, these two are in a situation that isn't necessarily working out for them necessarily financially, hence why they have to keep helping. But let's not forget, they have now started a cameo. Personally, for me, I'm expecting for Mary at one point to start an OF account, to be honest with you, because let's be real, we've seen her social media, she likes to dance, she likes to shake it. So to be honest with you, if it came to really that last resort of making that money, I wouldn't put it past her personally. And let's be real, Mary is not someone that really cares about her family's opinion. She talks about her respect for Lolo, but she has no respect for him, because let's not forget, the moment that Brandan landed, she kissed Brandan without permission. She held hands with Brandan without permission. She slept with Brandan and got pregnant with Brandan before marriage, and also without permission. So let's be real, when it comes to giving a damn about rules that she's given by other people, she doesn't care. She only cares about the rules that she gives. For her, it is always a one-sided situation. It's all about Mary, and that's it. Which is so sad, because Brandan's mom said that apparently Mary is still a very good girlfriend, wife to him, because she does all these other things for him that he's never experienced before from anybody else. Which, listen, I understand that, but let's be real, the bar was set very, very, very low for anyone to come in his life and just to do a little bit for him to feel special, for him to feel like a priority. So let's not act like as if whatever she's done to woo him has been that spectacular, because the bar was so freaking low. It's like me saying that, the Suicide Squad was better than Suicide Squad. Well, obviously it was, because the first one was absolute trash. Being the first one wasn't even going to be hard. Like, yo, let's be real. The bar was set so freaking low. But hey, either way, definitely wanted to break it down. So my conclusion to this is that, one, these two should have never had a baby in the first place, because, well, they both financially are unable to even be able to support a child. Two, the whole relationship is based on Brandan having money, or Brandan's family having money. And three, I think it's very clear that Mary is somewhat of a scam. And I do worry, and I do have concerns that somewhere in the future, if things really start to go downhill for their relationship financially, I wouldn't be surprised if Mary then decided to, well, let's just say leave Brandan. But at the same time though, a part of me feels like these two had a child for their own individual agendas. Mary's agenda to have a child with Brandan was due to her own securities to make sure he wouldn't leave. His reason for having a child with Mary is also pretty much the same thing. His insecurities that therefore she won't leave him. Because if they got a child together, well then therefore they must. Like the Philippines, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if, trying to get a divorce is something that is just not frowned upon, do you know what I mean? So therefore, if anything, these two probably had a plan to trap each other in, and they've done it now. But sadly, the baby's the one that's going to have to potentially suffer. I hope the baby doesn't. But right now, people aren't happy with the fact that whenever Brandan and Mary is seen with their baby midnight, the baby doesn't necessarily look that happy. But there is a video out there on TikTok, I believe, okay, of Mary's grandmother Lolo playing with the baby, and the baby having one hell of a good time and laughing and giggling. And that is quite interesting, because the question is, when Brandan and Mary have their own child, did they actually play around and make the baby laugh, or did they just do nothing but argue and be toxic? Meanwhile, when it comes to Lolo and grandma, well, they be doing the most. But nonetheless though, you guys let me know exactly what you're thinking down below in the comment section, and we most certainly talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.